Everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the garden. Today, I know I said last time that was going to be the last winter sowing reveal, but today it's going to be the last kind of comprehensive look at all the seed trays that we started in the winter time. A lot of you guys requested this, and I'm going to be transplanting soon, so I want to make sure you see all of the seed trays and how big they were and how good they did. I want to make sure you see that because I'm not going to record the process of transplanting the garden. It's just too much between, the tilling and the finding a spot to put everything and the transplanting and crawling around on the ground. And I don't have a cameraman, so it's just too much. I'm not going to do it, but I will give you guys an update as soon as I, actually get everything planted in a spot. But I wanted to show you the seed trays because they look amazing. Alright, so first up on this tour we have the lavender. You might remember I planted a ton of lavender seeds back in January. I think the lavender was one of the first things that I actually even planted. So we had pretty good germination. I mean, anytime you plant lavender, the germination rate isn't going to be that great just because it's lavender and it's difficult. At least that's what I've always heard, and that's the experience I've always had. So we got quite a few plants here, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to have to find a nice perennial flower bed for these to go into. This is our tray full of sage. The sage looks great. It looks like, I don't know, we had like 90% germination in the sage. There were a lot of sage seeds that I planted, but not as many as lavender or something like that. So we had a really good germination rate on these. You can see these are well big enough to be transplanted into the garden now. Again, I'm going to find a nice sheltered location for those so that they can grow out and I can enjoy some nice fresh garden sage. Alright, this is a tray that's a little bit different. These are the miniature roses. You might recall that we planted miniature roses. We only had 10 seeds, and hopefully this wind isn't too strong that you can't hear me because it's really picking up out here. We only had 10 miniature rose seeds, and of those, 7 germinated. They're still very small. Hopefully you can see them on camera. I'm not sure if you can, but believe me, they are there. And I'm going to make sure to take care of those, pot those up into their own pots or something, because I think that would be really cool if we can grow some miniature roses from seeds. So here we have our first kind of mixed tray. Here on the far end, those really dark seedlings, those are red foliated cotton. Really great germination. Looks like almost every single one of the red foliated cotton came up. There in the middle we also have some Black Eyed Susan vine. The reason I put those in this tray is I knew that these were all heat-loving plants and that their germination would be a little bit slower. You can see even though those seeds have been in there for a while, they're just now starting to germinate. That's because they take a little bit more moisture and a little bit more heat, but they're coming up, so that's good. And in the far right we have the Tithonia. I only had about 15 Tithonia seeds. We got about 11 seedlings there, so that's good. You'll notice that they're all different sizes. With Tithonia, germination definitely is staggered. So if you only see a couple of Tithonia popping up at first, don't be discouraged. There's more to come usually. They just kind of seem to stagger when they germinate. So this tray's looking good too. I'll probably wait a little bit longer before I transplant this tray into the garden. So up next we have a tray full of Celosia and Coleus. Celosia is the one on the left. Coleus is the tons of seedlings on the right. The main reason I put these two together is I knew that they were kind of quick to germinate. Not only that, they're kind of slow to grow in the seedling stage. So these Coleus aren't big enough to put in the yard yet, and the Celosia aren't big enough either. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let these continue to grow on in the tray. Celosia seeds can definitely be very expensive, so it's always nice to be able to start those in trays and transplant into the garden from the trays. And in terms of the Coleus, those are just gonna, get bigger and bigger. We're gonna have different leaf patterns. I'm gonna find a nice shady spot in the yard for those when the time is right too. Right, so this tray we have Shasta daisies on the left and a little bit of catmint in the middle. The end had the black vertisage tomatoes in it, and I already transplanted those, so there's no tomatoes in this tray, but they look great. There should be a video, or they should be in a video sometime soon. Anyway, these are the Shasta daisies that I planted in March, and actually they germinated much better than the ones that I planted earlier in the season for winter sowing. So I think from now on I am just going to winter sow the Shasta daisies later in March, because these are the same size as the other ones. They're growing fast, they're looking great. Also that catmint right there in the center, it looks great too. I have a whole entire tray of catmint that looks just like that, so I'm going to have to find a flower bed to put that in as well. Here is a closer look at my loofahs. These were sowed using the winter sowing method back in March. Also, they were in a tray that also had some tomatoes in it, and we already transplanted those tomatoes, so that's what's missing from that, in case you're wondering. I'm not ready to transplant these loofahs into the yard yet. They're just now getting their first true leaves. I'm going to wait till they have at least one before I transplant. But I'm very happy with the germination on those. Sometimes loofahs can be a little hard to germinate just because they have that really, really hard seed coat. So these are looking good too. Alright, here's a look at one of the zinnia trays. I have 3 trays of zinnias that look like this. This specific tray has, I think, Ben Aries lime in it, Ben Aries wine, and Ben Aries lilac or something, or Zinderella lilac. That's a whole bunch of zinnias. I also have the queen lime, the lime blush, salmon, all kinds of different types. Anyway, the germination on these has been really great, and I'm so happy with the way the use of these trays has performed. It has been just so much better than the jugs. I can't even begin to say how well these trays have done. Next up, we have okra on the left, and we have some nasturtiums on the right. The okra was really just kind of a test to see if it would work with this method, and obviously it does. There they are. And the nasturtiums, I always like to use this method because for whatever reason I just have a lot of trouble to get nasturtiums to grow from direct sowing in my yard. I think I have a lot of bugs and birds and stuff that want to eat them before I can sow them, so this method really works for me, which I'm really pleased about. You can see these got really big really fast. I need to hurry up and transplant these somewhere. They're probably going to go in my tomato bed if I had to guess. The wind is blowing them everywhere right now, so I am going to get those transplanted very soon. In the front tray we have hyacinth beans on the left. They're getting nice and big. You can see they're already getting that nice pretty purple veining. On the right we have sun gold sunflowers. They're actually slow growers compared to some of the other sunflowers. Anyway, I'm going to have to make sure to find a nice spot for those in the yard. I have no clue where I'm going to put them, honestly. The tray in the back on the left are ageratum. You can see the ageratum are still very small. They're just little green specks back there, so I definitely have to wait for those as well. Those were planted in March. They're probably a little bit behind compared to everything else. And on the right is elephant head amaranth. The reason I put the ageratum and elephant head amaranth together is just that I knew the elephant head is a little less vigorous than some of the other types of amaranth I've noticed, so there weren't very many seeds, and I wanted to make sure that I gave them a little bit of special attention. This tray is nothing special. Well, it is special. I mean, it's full of flowers, but these are just Sensation mixed cosmos. Again, it's always easier to just direct sow your cosmos, but for the sake of this year and for the sake of a test, I wanted to make sure that, plant up a tray of it, why not? But as you can see, it responds well to the winter sowing method. So here is a tray full of basil. When I planted these, it really didn't have many basil seeds in this packet. I remember it being like, oh, that's kind of lame for basil, but regardless, a lot of it came up. So that's looking good. It looks like we will have plenty of basil. I mean, let's face it, I ain't going to eat this much basil. It's going to be more basil that I know what to do with anyway, so it's all good. This one, on the left is Love in a Puff vine. If you're unfamiliar, Love in a Puff vine is a vining flowering plant. It's great for cut flowers. I like to use the vines in bouquets, all that good stuff. It looks very pretty. It's a nice addition to the garden. The flowers themselves are real tiny white things, but they make these cool little puffs. I actually saved these seeds last year from the vines we grew last year, and the germination rate is really great on them, so I'm really excited about that. And on the right is, I believe, Aurelia's Verde Amaranth. It's one of the amaranths. You can tell it grows really well, this method. Either Aurelia's or Golden Giant. I have another tray full of amaranth that's just Golden Giant. I have a couple trays of amaranth. But these are really big. Obviously, I planted them really thick. Obviously, I am not going to divide out every single one of these seedlings. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to plant them in clumps. Some of these taller amaranths respond really well to planting in clumps. This is one of them. So it's all about trial and error and getting to know the plants that you're growing and knowing their limitations. Like, I know for a fact I can plant these in large clumps and it won't be a big deal. I'll still have really nice flower heads and everything, so that's what I'm going to do. These are some of my pepper plants. Now, I have a couple trays with peppers in them. These specifically are Marconi peppers, and I think they're mega Marconi peppers. I don't know the difference, honestly, but that's what these are. I also have some trays with some habaneros and some jalapenos in them. These were sown using the winter sowing method at the beginning of March, and this is the size they are. As you can see, I had really good germination, just as good germination I would have had if I would have started them indoors. Had really good germination. Yeah, and yeah, they're a little bit small right now, but also I'm recording this at the end of April. It's April 26th when I'm recording this. So, you know, these are going to take off soon. They're going to be within the next 2 weeks. They're going to be ready to transplant into the yard. It's not a big deal. I think it looks really great, actually, so I'm really pleased. Okay, so this tray has moonflowers on the left, moonvine, you know, morning glory moonvine on the left, and hulless pumpkins on the right. I'm kind of happy. I have mixed opinions about this tray. The moonvines are finally coming up. They took forever to germinate. They like literally just germinated in the past day or so, which, you know, I'm glad they took forever because this tray would have been enormous. The hulless pumpkins on the right started them way too early. I'm so focused on getting these things to grow that I started them too early, and now they are huge in this tray. They are struggling. Some of the leaves are starting to turn yellow. Hopefully I can trim off those leaves. These need to be transplanted very, very soon. But otherwise, I'm glad they germinated. I guess I solved one problem and got a new problem in exchange. I don't know. This tray has the portulaca on the left, and it has gomphrena or globe amaranth on the right. I guess I had a pretty good germination rate on the portulaca. This is the first time I've ever tried to grow it. I mean, we have a lot of seedlings there, but I do remember that those seeds were teeny tiny, and we sowed a lot of seeds, so I don't really know, you know, if that was good or not. On the right, for whatever reason, the germination of the gomphrena was total garbage this year. Looking down at it, I probably have about 4 gomphrena seedlings, maybe. I'm really disappointed with that. I'm not sure what happened. I've winter sowed gomphrena in the past with great success, so I don't know what happened this year. Red shiso is up and looking pretty good. Anytime I plant red shiso, there's always just a ton of seedlings with it. I know some people who try to start it indoors may be frustrated by the germination and get bad germination, but it really seems to love cold treatment first and then consistent fluctuation in temperatures when it's germinating. So luckily with winter sowing, that's exactly what we get, and always get just tons and tons of red shiso seedlings to use in the yard. But I really like to sow a lot of them so that I can put them into a big hedge, because these get nice and tall and they flower and the bees love them. It's just really a win-win for everybody, I guess. Here are petunias. As you can see, the winter sowing method in petunias works absolutely great. Instead of having to go up to the store and buy a bunch of petunias and wasting a bunch of money, I spent $1.50 on a packet of petunias, and now I have like 300 petunia plants. Awesome. I don't know where I'm going to put these all. They're going to look great. I love bedding plants. The more and more that I grow flowers, the more bedding plants that I'm starting to add to my collection. These seedlings are nice and big. I'm probably not going to have too much trouble when it comes to time to separate these out either, so I'm really looking forward to that. Alright, for this one we're looking at these 2 middle trays. It's kind of hard to get the camera in there where I am to position it. This first tray with all the little tiny seedlings, and not tiny. I don't know how I would describe those. Those are Thai Red Roselle. I saved those seeds from last year. As you can see, the germination rate was really great with these. Just like the shiso, I like to use the Roselle as kind of a nice, tall, living hedge. They just get about 4 feet tall. You gotta make sure to start them early or they won't produce here. I like to use them for cut flowers. The flowers are so gorgeous. But the seeds can definitely be a little bit expensive if you have to buy them every year, but saving seeds has really rewarded me this year, so I'm excited to find a place to put those. The tray next to that, or above it for you guys, those are cantaloupes. Ideally, I don't think you want to start cantaloupes in trays, but I did it anyway for a test to see how it goes. I'm really excited to transplant these. I'm going to cover these up with a row cover to make sure that the cucumber beetles can't get to them, because those dang cucumber beetles, I swear. These are a couple other trays that are kind of in a bad position for the camera. The far right tray, those big leaves, those are lima beans. The lima bean germination was terrible. I don't even want to talk about it. I did the same thing last year. Everything was great. This was garbage. I don't know if it was the seeds. I'm starting to think it was the seeds, honestly. other seeds in this tray. We have watermelons. There's not any true leaves on those yet, but they germinated well. You can kind of see them there in the corner. This middle tray is tomatillos and ground cherries. Another tray that had poor germination, and I don't know why. I don't know why the germination was so bad. There were only a few trays in this whole thing where the germination was just crap, so I don't know what that was all about. So these two trays here, on the right we have Cleome. As you guys know, Cleome germination can be very difficult. You need a lot of fluctuation in temperatures. Some people say to plant them early, some people say to plant them late. There really is mixed results for that. But as you can see, this winter sowing tray did great. I'm so happy. That is so many Cleome seedlings. I can put those all together. Hopefully they'll grow well. I'm so excited about that. In the tray to the left, those top seedlings, those large seedlings, those are our cathedral bells or a cup and saucer vine. I am so happy with the germination of this cup and saucer vine. It's not even funny. I planted 10 seeds. I think it was 10 seeds. As you can see here, we have 6 seedlings. 6 seedlings. That's so exciting. That's the best I've ever done. And we even have some true leaves coming out there. What? True leaves? Last time I got seedlings, the caterpillars ate them before they got true leaves, and I didn't have any cup and saucer vine. But I am cautiously optimistic this year. Look in the middle of that tray, there's one firecracker vine coming up. I don't know if there will be more germination or not. Firecracker vines have hard seeds, so they might just be taking their time. I haven't lost hope yet. And at the bottom of that is Malabar spinach. I've tried Malabar spinach in the past and I had 0 success with germination, but looky here, we've got Malabar spinach all over the place. So I think the key to this was really just consistent moisture. I made sure that these seed trays were staying very moist all the time, and I think that's the reason why we got such good results with it. Here's another tray. This is just straight up cucumbers. You can see they got big really fast. Definitely need to transplant these into the yard ASAP. They're nice and big, and to cover them up with a row cover, again, we're going to make sure that these freaking cucumber beetles stay off of my cucumbers and my melons, and even my squash too, because I am tired of it. Tired of losing all my cucumber plants to cucumber beetles. Tired of it. Here are my peanuts. I think this variety is called Carolina Black or something like that. Perfect germination. Everything looks good. I'm going to let these get a little bit bigger before I transplant them into the garden, just so they can take root and, fight the weeds off, because weeds will take over peanuts if you ain't careful. But these look great. I have no complaints about those. Last but certainly not least, we have these two trays. We have on the right, we have a marigold. I think this is just Cracker Jack marigold. It's a dwarf marigold. I'm just going to plant it around some plants, just kind of spruce up the place, make things look a little brighter, a little more flowery. And on the left, we have impatiens. You'll remember this was the first year that I ever tried to grow impatiens, so I think this is a success. I think impatiens respond really well to the winter sowing method, in case you're wondering. You can see those seedlings are nice and big. I gotta get them transplanted. They're probably gonna start blooming soon if I don't get them transplanted sometime soon. That's really about it for this video. Hopefully you guys liked it. Hopefully it was somehow helpful. Not quite sure if it was, honestly. I'm just trying to get things done. It is so incredibly wet in my garden right now. I swear it is so muddy and nasty and disgusting. We had about, 2.5 inches of rain last night, and you guys know my yard does not drain well, so we are just doing the best we can, waiting for things to finally dry out so we can plant, and trying to find a spot to plant in here. We're just cramming stuff into small spaces. Anyway, if you like this one, be sure to subscribe if you're new. I'd love to have you making new content all the time. I hope y'all are having such an amazing day. Talk to y'all later. Bye, guys.